Democrats are starting to grow increasingly terrified over the prospect of Senator Joe Manchin running a third-party presidential bid next year, siphoning off Democratic votes and handing a solid victory over to the Republicans. Now, the reason they feel this way, actually, there's several reasons, so let's talk about them. First and foremost is that Joe Manchin's term ends next year at the election. So, if he wants to stay in the Senate, he will have to run for re-election, and he knows that. He hasn't filed yet. While everybody else who's running for re-election next year pretty much has, Joe Manchin has remained mum. Even when asked about it by reporters, he said, "I'll win any race I enter." Not, "I'll win that Senate race when I enter." "I'll win any race that I enter." That was the first statement that, of course, started to spark those Democratic fears from Manchin. But recently, according to The Hill, he had this to say. "I've been part of No Labels since December 2010. It's the only game in town that wants to bring people together and get Democrats and Republicans working together." Asked about the talk that he could run nationwide on the No Labels ticket, Manchin said, quote, "People are starving to work together." He said voters are sick of, quote, "this constant daily routine of everyone's against everybody and everybody's fighting and arguing. Let's be for the country and get something done." Well, those definitely sound like the words of somebody who's planning on running for president, although we cannot be certain. I mean, after all, the last time Joe Manchin had to run for re-election, he didn't announce it until the year of the election. So there's still plenty of time for him to just say, "Screw it, I'm going to run for the Senate." The problem he has in running for re-election for his Senate seat is that he has a very popular Republican challenger now. And Manchin, throughout his entire career, has not actually faced a solid challenge from anyone. He's never had a tough race. He's never had a close race. But that challenger happens to be former Republican Governor Jim Justice. So you're talking about a very popular Republican governor in West Virginia who is now running for that Senate seat. And there is speculation among Democratic pollsters and advisors that Manchin is waiting to decide what he's going to do to see what the poll numbers say about Jim Justice. If in a couple months it looks like there is no way that Manchin can beat Jim Justice, then that may be the spark that Manchin needs to go run with No Labels as a third-party candidate for president. And that is what is terrifying. If Manchin was a decent human being, if he wasn't just the giant sack of manure that we all know that he is, I would not be opposed to him running third party. Like if he were a progressive, if he were somebody that actually had plans to get things done instead of preserving the status quo, I wouldn't be bothered by the thought of him entering the race. We need more people running for president than just the big two, folks. We really do. We need to have more options. But Manchin ain't it. But he's horrible enough to siphon just enough Democratic voters from Joe Biden in a couple of key swing states where he can pull the wool over people's eyes and pretend that he is a moderate that works across the aisle to help people. Places like Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan and Pennsylvania, Ohio. And if Biden loses all of those, it's game over. So that's what we're dealing with Joe Manchin. This is definitely a story to keep an eye on because Manchin's up to something. And no matter what it is, it's probably not going to be good for the United States.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.